I'm totally glad I brushed my hair.
Hey guys, everybody that's watching, thank you for watching the replay. Mindy, Sarah, thank you guys for showing up and being here live with me in my 3-hour power workshop. I'm very, very excited about this. So I want to start off by asking you guys, have you ever really dove into what your power is? And do you know what I mean when I talk about that?
Well, I need you to clarify it.
Yeah, I don't, because I have just started really getting to where I want to go.
All right. So when I'm talking about your power, I'm talking about the kind of the force, the result of you pushing yourself, and the place where when you have to make a decision or you have to face something difficult or something amazing, that's your fuel, right? So your power, technically, if you think about it like that, it's your fuel to get you through situations. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. So I want to start off, if you guys got these, they're all pretty and everything. I want to start off by talking about finding your power source. So I'm going to do a little exercise with you guys. All right. I want you to close your eyes and just kind of be in your body for a moment. Feel where you are in your body, where you're sitting and all of that. And start down at the tips of your toes and work your way up towards your head. There's a spot somewhere inside of you, and it could also be outside of you. So just kind of sense where that spot is. We're going to give it a pulsing warmth, right? So I want you to slowly make your way to that spot. What does that spot look like? What does it smell like, if there's a smell associated with it? Is there a sound associated? Does it taste like anything? Can you taste it? Do you want to taste it? Or are you kind of ugh, I don't want to taste this? And what does it feel like? If you were to touch it, what does it feel like? So, kind of be in that spot for a moment. Breathe into that spot. Now I want you to open your eyes. How are you feeling having recognized where that spot is?
Relaxed.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So Mindy, what does your spot look like?
Cotton candy and melted butter.
Ooh, yes. I like it. Cotton candy and melted butter.
Yep.
So what flavor cotton candy?
It was actually multiple flavors. It was pinks and blues and the yellow melted buttery kind of all around it. Nice. And I've never eaten cotton candy with melted butter, but that's what it looked like.
So, and how did it feel like? Did you feel the oiliness from the butter, or was it just the creaminess, the flow of it?
It was the creamy warmth of it.
Nice. So I want you to write this stuff down. I want you to write down what it looks like, what it smelled like, what it felt like, sounded like, tasted like. And then I want you to draw a picture of it, right? So while you guys are doing that, Sarah, do you want to share what yours?
It's a heart with different color auras around it. Nice. Warm, fuzzy, loving, relaxing.
Nice. I like it. So when I said that it could be outside of yourself, a lot of people also find that their power source, their gas tank, if you will, isn't necessarily inside of them. They might, I guess, feel better or feel more connected to a power source outside of them. So for a lot of people, it could be their kids. You see your kid and you're like, yes, I can put my shoulders back. It might be a knick-knack that, was handed down through your family or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something inside of you. It makes it a little bit easier if it is, I feel, because you always have it. Always with you every second of every day, right? So while you're drawing that, I wanted to share with you guys what my power spot is, my source spot. And hi, Mindy.
I'm switching devices.
You're good, dude. I'm going to mute your other one. Sorry. Give it a second. Are we good?
Yes.
We're good. We're good. Okay. So, oh, we got a feedback here.
Okay. Nope. I want to disconnect.
I got it.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So, while you guys are doing that, while you guys who are watching the replay are doing that as well, I want you to seriously get into that spot and describe everything that you possibly can about it and draw it so you have that visual connection as well. For me, my power spot, and you guys, if you're in my group, you know, I'm going to bring you down a little bit here. Let me see. My power spot is right here, right in the middle of my chest. Well, I guess like right in the middle of my body, really. And for me, my power source looks like a forge. You think like a steel forge, right? And when I'm not like hardcore using my power, when I'm not facing something that I need to charge head on for, the steel, which is the actual gas for me, the fuel for me, is very liquid. It's very viscous. It's flowing. It doesn't really have to do too much. It just is. But when I'm faced with something, mine actually kind of solidifies and it becomes stronger, right? So I'm normally just kind of flowing. My power source, it's always there. It's always very hot and it's always burning. However, the steel itself is what I call on when I'm faced with something. So like, I don't do well with surgery. I'll just give you guys this example. And for going into get my C-section done with my youngest, that was an absolutely terrifying moment in my life. And I had to call on my own power to be like, okay, there is no way out of this. This is how he has to come out of me. He can't stay in here, and I'm the only one that can do this. So I kind of just forced my my power spot to solidify, forced the steels to solidify, and I went into it. I was still scared shitless because somebody's cutting me open, but I was able to go into it with more of a, I'm in control of how I react to doing this. Does that make sense? So, you know, so I had that. Other situations, like fun things to do. You know, some people really, really love roller coasters. I was deathly afraid of them. I went on like 6 in one day. And every time I had to call on that power and be like, remember how fun this is? Like, we're doing this and this is fun for us. And I solidified my power source. I made it so that it was tight. And then it was kind of like making a decision. It tightens. That's what it is. It is literally set in steel for me. So for Mindy, for, you know, your cotton candy and your melted butter, it could be a situation where the cotton candy just kind of like explodes and like dissipates, or it could be like the butter just solidifies and like puts a shell around the cotton candy.
Yeah, and I saw it that way. It was around the cotton candy.
Yeah, so like when you have to call on it, so like Monday, you're going in for surgery. We all know this. You're going to be fine. We know that too. But that's a situation that you're going to have to call on your power for.
Well, Valium helps, but yes.
Yeah, that'll definitely help.
Yeah. Drugs always help.
So
1 minute, my landlord's calling.
So how are you going to use that? How are you going to like see into that?
I'm going to equate the Valium to the liquid butter going through the IV into my arm.
Yeah.
And then I will just breathe, and the next thing that'll happen is I'll be in recovery, and that'll be that.
Yeah. So like that's the thing that I love about doing this, is because it's so unique to every single person. You know what I mean? Like mine is the antithesis of yours, but yet we still use it the same way.
Right.
You know, and I think that's really, really awesome. I think that's special, the fact that it shows us that not only are we different, but we're the same too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a power that you can actually get from everybody else around you. You know?
Yep.
Sarah, are you good now? You're kind of frozen. There you are.
I'm here. It just we have to have repairs done because I'm on government assisted housing, and they of course wait till the last minute. You know, I'm free all week, but the minute I have something to do,
Of course, that's how it always goes. So for your power spot, like what does your power source look like for you?
like it's a heart, but when like I have to make this decision and stuff, it kind of like the auras kind of encompass me. It's like a cocoon, warm fuzzy cocoon. I don't know. Like it just gives me the energy to do what I need to do.
So it sounds like when you're envisioning your power, it's this heart and it has like all of these radiating auras around it. But when you have to call on that power to do something, it kind of just encases and comes around the heart. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it actually like comes out and comes around me.
Okay. Okay, so it comes out then.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. That's pretty cool. That's a really cool visual. Yeah. So here's something, like you guys both have kids. I have kids. I help, my son, I help my oldest with this. My youngest, he's a Tasmanian devil. He is a power source.
They take all our power. I'm just telling you. Swear to God.
There's not a goddamn person on the face of this planet that can take all of your power.
Well, no, like my grandma described it as chi, like your energy, like your regular energy, like you're tired, exhausted. They took all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes, that part of things, but in a more vast, expansive way, nobody can take your power. And this is what's really cool about like seeing and feeling your power inside of you, is that regardless of the trauma and the bullshit that we've been through, there is still always a spark. Mindy, there was always one granule of sugar to make that cotton candy.
Right.
Sarah, for you, there's always one color around like this little point that can grow, and our power sources grow and expand and shrink, and for whatever it is, which I'll talk about in a second here. But because of that, once we kind of realize that there's always something inside of us that really talks about that power and speaks to that power, I should say, we can see how much we've grown past our traumas. Right?
Yes.
And here's the really fucking awesome thing about it, is that we can grow even past where we are at this point. Right? You guys know that I work with people who have already gone through their victim phase, have already gone through their survivor phase, and now they're moving on with their damn lives. They're becoming livers. Right? So there is so much more over here that your old selves wouldn't have realized. The old selves who didn't realize what their power was, or see, or feel, smell, taste, whatever. Now you have all these possibilities, even more than you did before. Right? So, with that in mind, we're going to move on a little bit. And we're going to talk about how to stay in your power sweet spot. So you know how I said, like, my forge is always burning? The steel itself may not necessarily be solid, but that's just like my process of calling on my power. But my power is always burning. It's always there. I always have like this baseline, and that's where I stay at. A lot of times people will and without realizing it, I think is where it's the most detrimental. They will call on their power, they'll shoot up to here, and then they crash really fucking quick. And here's the issue with that. When you call on your power and you go high and then shatter low, this creates a confidence boost and a confidence low. Right? Because when we're in our power, nobody can fuck with us. We are invincible. And then we use all of that. It's like rocket fuel. You know, that NOS injection. You rise up, use it all up, and then you fall. And people don't realize that this fucks with your confidence too. Mm-hmm. Right? So the trick to finding your sweet spot, where you're not super, super high and you're not super, super low, so that you can just operate on that level, is to figure out the balance between being in your power all the time, but not using your power all the time. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, good. I'm glad it's resonating with you guys. So I wrote down like a couple of examples. And this is not going to be 3 hours, you guys, because
it's just the three of us.
Yeah. Our power's coming through. So some examples of situations where you can find like the balance is, first of all, a lot of people get the power and they go into that high because they've said no to something that they needed to say no to, and then they crash. Sarah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this past week.
Right? So saying no and then crashing, but not having that baseline to get back to, you just sink down low. So you balance that by saying yes to the scary shit. Sarah, you did that this week.
Yes.
You quit with your MLM and you decided to go back to school. A no and a yes. You balanced that. So you didn't go way up high and go way low. You evened yourself out. And that's where like we want everybody to be, where I want you guys to be, where I know you're capable of being. Another example is like standing by your convictions. Mindy, you know this about me. I was like, no, I don't want shit from a company who does not support LGBTQ+. Mm-hmm. Fuck them. And then I was like, but I could pick my battle and be like, thanks for the money. I'm going to give it to everything you don't agree with.
Exactly.
You know, that's what I'm talking about. So that was me being in my power and staying at my baseline. So I wasn't like, no, fuck them. But yeah, so it's choosing your battles, but also standing by your convictions. That's another example of how you can like stay in that sweet spot where you're not overexerting your power and falling so low that your confidence goes low. Right? So what's a situation for you, Mindy, that would help you find and stay in your sweet spot?
I want her kitty.
Oh, this is she's the baby and she wants to sit on my shoulder all the time. This is Puff, aka Batcat. I don't know. I mean, I totally recognize when I've had that up and down. It just happened to me Monday, actually, when I posted about it was almost like my new manifesto that everybody was so psyched about. Like after I did that later that night, I was totally down because I was like, crap, that was just way too much, too fast. And hey, I'm keeping my day job. That's me staying there. As much as it's driving me crazy, I'm able to recognize that it's paying the bills, that even though my insurance sucks, that's where my insurance is. So I try and find that balance.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think for us that are, in business and we have our own businesses, especially for the people who still have their 9-to-5, their day job, it's going to be kind of harder in a sense to really find that balance because you're here in a job you hate. So you're operating at like a 7 in your power scale every day. And then you come home and you drop down to like a 3 because you can. Exactly, because you're exhausted, because you can, because you don't have to be on all the time. But then we do stuff that really lights us up and we shoot up to a 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're reminded that we still have this day job, so we shoot down to a 2.
Exactly.
You know, so the fact that you're continuing through and you're recognizing those things is huge, because it's going to make it easier for you to be at like a base 5. You know? And yes, we're going to have the ups and we're going to have downs, but when you're able to bounce back quicker instead of staying, you know, one or the other, and you're able to bounce back quicker, that's really going to be how you figure out where your sweet spot is. You know, I mean, we can sit and look at Sarah's situation this week. And I'm going to pick on you because you're here.
No, that's fine.
So, you know, Sarah, I'm going to talk like you're not here, but you really are. She had a really big situation of, you know, telling her upline that she was done. And then them, you know, forcing back. But you stood in your convictions, right? You balance that out with deciding and actually taking the fucking action. That's another big one. And if you don't know me and you don't know that I'm big on this, talk to somebody. But you took the actions and you signed up for school and you're going back to school. Like, there's no like, oh yeah, I want to. You're like, no, I'm going. Like, everything's already in the works. That's you finding your balance with your power. That's you exerting the force, if you will, that you needed to face a difficult situation and to say no when you needed to. And it's also you using your power to say yes to scary shit.
Right.
So that's a absolutely perfect example of you finding your sweet spot this week.
I have a question though. Like, after she talked to me, she's like, well, if you just let yourself go inactive, it doesn't affect me, which it doesn't affect her. And I could just do that. And it, because she is my neighbor, that's the other issue. You don't want to cause too many problems on the street where I'm still quitting. I'm still not doing it, but it's not really holding her accountable for being a bad upline.
Does it really fucking matter what her opinion is though?
No, it's not.
Do me a favor, let's do this real quick, and this is going to be for everybody, okay? You're in this shitty situation because of somebody, their outside bullshit, trying to push in on your bubble, right? Step into your power in this moment. Picture that heart with the auras coming around it. Picture that your auras enveloping you, wrapping around you. What's the first answer that comes to your head when I say, does it really fucking matter how she feels about it?
No.
That's your answer, love. Doesn't matter what her shit is. That's her shit, not yours. It doesn't matter if it affects her in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter if it affects you in any way, shape, or form. Literally, what your heart is telling you is that that's not your problem. Don't make it your problem.
Right.
Stand by how you feel. Stand in your power. Stand in your sweet spot and be like, listen, I'm sorry about your luck. This is what I'm doing for me. This is how I need to get it done.
Right.
You know, and the fact that she's your neighbor, yes, I get that you don't want to make issues in your neighborhood, but too fucking bad. If she's that shitty of a person that she can't recognize in another person, them standing in their power and standing in their truth and their convictions, then you don't need to talk to her at all. That's okay. Like, it's okay to not talk to people if they're going to treat us like assholes. It's okay. Right?
Right.
So, take a big deep breath. And let go of all of her bullshit. That's not your baggage.
Correct.
Sarah, how old are your kids? How old are your kids?
I have a 15-year-old. She's going to be 16. And we have the same birthday. I had her on my 25th birthday. Then I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. So basically, and they're all women, so it's all hormones here.
Does your neighbor have young kids too?
She has 3 young kids, but my kids end up watching her kids. She doesn't even watch her kids when they're outside. I had to watch my kids. I sat outside with my kids until they reached a certain age.
Right,
my middle one has
too.
caught her children almost running onto the road twice.
Okay. So it's not that you're concerned about just keeping the peace so that the kids get along or anything.
No, the kids get along, but without me having a car, here's the situation. Without me having a car, she has helped me get prescriptions or to the grocery store if need be. And the other thing is she's one of those people that I feel like would go and do something to you just to be spiteful. You know what I mean? Like, I've watched the things she's done. She can be very spiteful. So, like, her kids are out of control. She was asked not to bring them to the funeral and brought them anyways. Now, I'm not saying that the kid shouldn't be there, but you have to look at, is it going to disrupt the people that need to grieve from grieving? So it is definitely all about her, but I don't want to upset the balance in the neighborhood, because there's another neighbor up the street that she knows what's going on because she's done stuff to her, and she's like, yeah, this is a hard situation. She's like, because you don't want to upset the ecosystem in the neighborhood, but you also need to do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Sorry, I'm in my living room. My desk is right by my doorway. So
I'm in my bedroom. That's where I sleep.
Well, it's always like busy activity wise in here. I just want to let you know.
You're fine. You're fine. So going back to like your power sweet spot and everything that you just talked about, I think this is really going to help you if you like dig into this exercise. So for the worksheet that goes along with your power sweet spot, there's 2 questions on here you have to answer. What do I need to do in order to stay in my sweet spot? And that's going to be your whole list of things. Say no when I need to. Say yes when I need to. Talk to this person. Plan this event. Whatever the case may be. These are going to be the things that are going to keep you maintaining your sweet spot, so that you're always in your power, but you're not on this roller coaster ride of powerfulness, if you will. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. Sometimes shit's just gonna come out of nowhere, and you're gonna have to spike. Let that happen. Don't think that you have to be just, baseline. I'm in my power. It is what it is. I'm good. Like, sometimes shit's gonna happen. You're gonna have to spike, and that's fine. Let it go. Let it happen. The other thing that I want you to write for this worksheet is how it feels to be in that sweet spot. Attach positive, empowering emotions to that. Right? So, Mindy, what would be like 1 or 2 feels that you could attach to your sweet spot of being powerful?
Safe. Probably independent.
That's really good. Like, I love your words. So safe and independent, right? So when we're safe, we don't have to exert so much fucking power, right? Right? And when we're independent, our power, we just know what it is. We're just there constantly. So that's perfect. Those are absolutely perfect words.
Thank you.
For how it feels to be in your sweet spot. And besides, they're your words anyway for your sweet spot. So of course they're perfect. What about you, Sarah? What would it feel, or how does it feel for you to be in your sweet spot?
Kind of feels like a positive energy beam. And that, like, you always see me using that like a boss. When I feel good about something, it's like a boss. I don't know what the deal is. I just come up with that a couple weeks ago. It's like, bing, light bulb. And I think because so many things in your life are out of control, it makes me feel in control at the moment.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Especially, like, here's the cool thing. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to put it out there. I have control issues. There, I've said it. It's out there. I'm always working on my control issues. So it's not like I'm like, yeah, I see them. Fuck them. I'm working on them, right? So, like, when we're powerful and we're in our power sweet spot, yes, we are in control, but we're not so much in control that we're tight-fisting everything. We're like loose. There's some flow through, but we know what the fuck's up. We know what's going on. And that's where you want to be. You don't want to be so close-fisted and so loose that you start getting back into that, like, that weird wave, that power shift from the highs and the lows, right? So do you guys have any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to move on then. Using your power. I kind of feel like we all understand, we know there's going to be things that pop up. Crazy shit that pops up. Like, Mindy, you didn't expect for your batteries to go in your pacemaker. So you had to use your power and be like, I need to get to a hospital yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a situation of where your power is going to skyrocket and get you going where you need to go. Right? So, like, I wrote down a couple of examples that I feel like maybe we know, maybe if you're watching the recording at home or wherever you are, that you kind of know, but there's other ones in here. So, like, a client who won't pay, right? There's nothing more infuriating than a client who won't pay for services for those of us who have our businesses, right? So you're going to have to exert your power and get your damn money. What about a family member who belittles your business? You know, especially those of us who have spiritual-based practices or incorporate spiritual stuff into our businesses, and our family members are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hell. You know, you're sinning with whatever you're doing. I don't understand that. Keep it out of my house." Like, those are all situations you have to call on your power for, to either A, bite your tongue, keep your fist not in their face, or, you know, just kind of, it is what it is. This is what I do. Shut up. Talking to your significant other about serious shit. Or talking to a really, really good friend about stuff you don't necessarily want to talk to them about, right? Those are situations where you're going to have to call on your power. Childbirth.
Oh, hell yeah.
That is a power that no one else except a mother knows. That moment of, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, fuck, I'm the only one who can do this.
Mm-hmm.
That switch, power times 100. Moving out of an abusive relationship, that could be with a significant other, that can be with a friend who just, like, bleeds you and sucks you dry. That could be parents that, you know, are really just toxic people. You know, moving on from those people is another situation. I had to call on my power when I basically sat my mom down and told her how much of a shitty mom she was, and that I did not want anything to do with her. And she was not allowed to have anything to do with my children. That was a big decision that I had to make for a lot of people involved. But it was the best one, and I called on my power, and I used that power. And lo and behold, it's been a quiet 3 years. It's been a good 3 years. Other situations like divorce or separations, those are definitely things where you have to call on your power. Holding your tongue when there's kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to hold my tongue every time my son brings up his biological sperm donor, his maker, as we call him. Because I really want to be like, he's a bag of shit. He is not a good person. But I'm not going to let my son know that. That's me calling on my power to be, yes, an adult in the situation, but also to not sully a view that my son could possibly have, because that's not fair to him. Right? and not all situations are negative where we call on our power. We kind of talked about this. Experiencing something new, traveling to a new place, meeting someone new, right? I posted this the other day, using your power for someone else, right? So some people know the story of my best friend, Ashley, who she passed in 2012 from complications with cystic fibrosis. Knew the girl literally half my life. We met when we were 12. She passed when she was 24. When we were 24. That's what this is. This is my chess piece for her. I was at every hospital visit but 3. Watching the doctors poke and stick at her, watching her get her chest PT done, sticking up for her when she couldn't talk because she had the oxygen masks on, being there for her family because they were literally watching her die every single time she was in the hospital. That's big shit to call on your power for, right? I've had situations where I needed to stick up for the kid downstairs because his mom just wouldn't watch him. And I had to call CYS on somebody. Not a big fan of CYS. I don't like calling them. If I call them, you done fucked up. You know? So there's shit like that where you use your power and your ability in yourself to stand up. And Mindy, I know you know this, to stand up for somebody else and to be their voice. Mm-hmm. I use my power every single fucking day doing what I do. Standing up for those who have been through sexual crimes and who have been through various forms of abuse. I give my voice to them. And that's something I have to call on my power to do. Is this easy? No. Because my heart breaks every single time someone new tells me that they've been through the same shit that I have. You know? But because I'm able to keep my baseline power and because I'm able to see where I end and they begin kind of thing, it's much easier for me to take it in but not keep it in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So what I want you to do for this one is to think up some difficult situations in the past where you've had to use your power, and you've like really had to like just call on it and like usually in the past a lot of people like, God, if you do this for me, I'll do XYZ. That's not really you praying to God to help you in situations. That's you talking to yourself to get yourself through the situation. You know what I mean? And that's not me bashing any religion. I don't do that shit. But I'm saying that's a situation where you think you're outside of yourself, but you're really just in yourself. So if you care to share, Mindy, what are some difficult situations you've had to use your power for?
Absolutely, with my divorce, because I walked away without taking really much of anything so that it was amicable. It was an uncontested divorce, and we've been together 16 years, married 13, and I left with only 1 year of spousal support.
Wow.
So that we could just stay amicable. We share custody. He lives right around the corner. And so just going through all of that, and then literally 3 weeks after the 1 year that mark of when my spousal support ended, he got a new truck. And I was out with the boys fishing, and he called and said, "Oh, I saw the video of Jack catching the fish. Stop by so I can congratulate him," without mentioning that he had gotten the truck, and pulled into the driveway, and there was this big, new, beautiful truck. It wasn't about Jack catching a fish. It was about showing off the truck. So situations like that, I call on my power over and over and over again, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's only about my kids. And the truck is just my ego, and I just have to let that go.
Yeah, so. I don't think I would have handled the situation quite so with so
diplomatically. Thank you. It took a lot, and my father got the phone call as I left the driveway.
Well, that's the thing. You kept your shit together.
I did.
Your power for your kids.
I didn't even mention the truck. I didn't even say a word about it. And the kids were like, "Oh, new truck," and hopping in, and I just sat in my car. I didn't say a word.
Fuck your truck.
Exactly.
But no, that's seriously an excellent fucking example.
Yeah.
It's a shitty situation to be in, but it's an excellent example of how you actually kind of combined a couple different ways to use your power all in one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to assume, because I'm an assumer, that you got home and after your kids went to bed, everything kind of hit you.
Yeah, I tend to get anxiety at night because of, that's exactly what I do. I hold it all in. And once the kids are in their own beds and asleep, and I know that I don't have to be on mommy, that's when everything will fester.
Yeah. So doing these exercises, I'm wondering if maybe they won't help you kind of maintain here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, little shifts.
Do you hear all the boys?
Yeah.
Is that why you're laughing?
Yeah. Mine aren't here. Thank God. I love them. I love my boys. It's on tape. I love them. But it's very quiet in my abode today.
Yeah. My oldest isn't here. That's my youngest and his two friends. So
It's always the youngest, isn't it? Oh my.
Oh, always. Jack used to be the quiet one. Not anymore.
Yep. So I'm wondering, if this doesn't kind of help your anxiety a little bit. I mean, for Sarah and Mindy, I want you guys to also journal about this shit too, because I think you're gonna uncover. Not to be cliche and redundant here, but I think you're gonna uncover some really powerful messages that you haven't listened to yet, because you haven't really explored this section for yourself. Sarah, what about you? What's a difficult situation? Barring last week, last week's over and done with.
Well, in the past, I have the PFA's up, but he went to jail the first time because he almost killed me. Then when he came out, he showed back up at the door. And I happened to be on muscle relaxants and a couple other drugs because of other stuff that was going on. And my dumbass let him back in. It took everything in my power to, tell somebody, hey, he's here, I need help. Although I did say something to somebody and they kind of blew me off because I couldn't make the phone call myself. And they blew me off for 3 days. And finally called. He showed back up again. Cops weren't doing anything. They were giving him 8 days in jail. And he threatened to burn my house down with me and my kids in it. So my dumbass let him back in. Because I figured it was safer for him to be here where I could keep my eye on him. Because the cops weren't doing anything. And I finally turned around one day and called. I just went outside and called. I'm done. But what's fucked up is CYS were here. The cops were here multiple times. They knew there was a PFA. Did not separate us. I couldn't speak up while he was sitting there. Because if they weren't going to do anything, there's consequences. So I finally just fuck this. I've had enough and did it. Now, I was still scared. And going to court every time scared the hell out of me. But I did it. Thank God I haven't had contact with him in a while, but the PFA's up. So I'm waiting. And the past 2 days, I've had 2 people that I don't know mail-wise contact me. And 1 new personal information they shouldn't know. So I don't know if he's seeping in or if it's somebody else. But still, it's still scary that somebody knows personal information and you don't know this person from a hill of beans.
Yeah.
So I turned the one guy in and stopped talking to him to Facebook. And then the other one, 1 minute. Then the other one, I just didn't talk to. I just blocked him completely.
Yeah.
But I have to step out because the landlord is here. I will be back.
All right, honey. So going off of like Sarah's situation, since she has stuff to do, going off of that, like having to first of all, put a PFA on someone takes a lot of strength and power. I know this from experience. I had to get a PFA on my younger brother after he beat the shit out of me one day. And I had found out that he was beating on his girlfriend, which I do not take kindly to. Nobody else would do it. My mom refused to teach him any kind of lessons about it. So I went and got a PFA against my 17-year-old brother because he's 17 and he was close enough to his 18th birthday. He now has assault charges on his permanent record. And I had to show up to court by myself to get this PFA against him. And that was a situation where it was obviously very difficult. Up until that point, I had a really good relationship with him, but I wasn't going to allow him to keep doing that to me. And if he continued to do that to his girlfriend, and he already had a PFA for assault, and she finally turned him in, he would have actually gotten what he should have gotten for assaulting her and domestically abusing her. So that's a situation where, like, I didn't want to do it, but it had to be done.
Right.
You know, and again, I had to do that for myself. I had to do that for his girlfriend, any subsequent girlfriends he would have ever had. The lesson had to be taught. So obviously we have the whole like difficult situations calling on our power, right? And for those who are watching the replay, I want you to really think about some situations that you've had to essentially like dig into and just power boost yourself. I want to lighten the mood again and talk about some fun and awesome situations that apparently I can't spell, but just know that there is an A in my mind in the worksheet here. So fun and awesome situations that you've had to use your power for, right? So Mindy, what's a fun thing that you've had to use your power for?
Being open to meeting someone new.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you say that because that's on my list of things. Meeting someone new, traveling to new places, experiencing something new, trying new foods is another really good one. I'm now addicted to guacamole because I went on the badassery trip and now I love avocados so much so that Torm put in his little all about my mom thing for my Mother's Day gift that I love avocados.
That's awesome.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Other fun and awesome situations where I've had to use my power is we took the boys to Sesame Place. And
oh God, yes.
I don't do well with big, large crowds. I think to an extent,
especially during their parade.
Yeah. That was interesting. I don't do well with large crowds, and I get very anxious. And my anxiousness turns into me just being an uber bitch. So if people walk in front of me, I'll be like, yeah, that was fucking rude. Like, I'm not very nice when I'm very, very anxious because I'm spiky. Right? And if somebody touches one of my spikes, I get really angry. But it was a fun situation, especially when I used my power to kind of be in the moment, be with my kids, and we went through like their water park section.
Right.
And we were up and down the steps and getting the giant bucket dumped on us, and it was a blast. And thankfully, my husband was like, great frame of mind, take some pictures. So I actually have pictures of me and the boys, like, you know, running through the water and playing and everything. So that was a really fun situation for me that I was able to use my power for. So I wanted to talk also about ways to use your power in those difficult situations. Because we're not always going to be able to be like, hold on, give me a second, let me get in my space, let me visualize, let me feel. Like, We're not always going to have that chance. So what you can do is you can come back to this and visualize what you drew and just have that as like, it's in there already. So you can pop back in and see that. You can touch your power spot. So if there's, like I said, mine's underneath my breasts in my rib cage, like right where they separate, that's where mine sits. Mindy, did you find your spot? I know we talked about it. Top of your head. So yeah, you can just be like.
Yeah, it was right there.
And it's funny because when I do this, I get nothing. When I touch my spot, like you can see, like my shoulders just automatically like go back. You can touch it, and you can actually call up on a memory attached to using it, which is really helpful for me, especially because of the situations that I've been through in my life, where I've really had to use my power and get myself through the situation or get somebody else through the situation. So there's just a couple ways. If there's another way that you feel more comfortable doing it, do that. I firmly believe that there are no limits to how you find and use your power, but there should definitely be limits to how often you let yourself get so like your power booster moments, right? Because that brings you back down much lower, and that'll rattle your self-esteem, that'll rattle your confidence, and you make shitty decisions when you're in that really low place. So some power boosting extras that I wanted to share with you guys are just some things that like I've kind of come up with or seen other people do that I think would really be helpful. The first one is to pick a power color, right? So for me, mine's like this like orange, red, molten kind of lava-ish kind of color. So sometimes I haven't really worn makeup lately, but sometimes I'll wear red lipstick, right? Because that's, when a lady's wearing red lipstick, she's here to fuck shit up. Take names, kick asses, like get the hell out of her way. She has stuff to do, right? So pick a power color. That could be a red lipstick. Mindy, for you, because you have like the pink and the blue cotton candy and the melted butter, yours could be a bright yellow. A bright yellow ribbon or a bright yellow shirt, something like that, and wear it. A power talisman. I'm actually wearing mine just to kind of demonstrate. I wear this whenever we go out on the bike because I get anxious because people do not look for motorcycles. So I get really, really anxious. So I wear my power talisman, and mine is actually a skull and crossbones and a lightning bolt. Right, so I wear this, and I'll hold on to it when I'm starting to get nervous. When we're in congested areas or on the highway, people don't look. I'll hold on to this, and I'll be good. I'm in my power. I'm okay. There you go. What is that on there? You're muted.
I'm taking it off. I muted it because of the kids.
Oh,
there's a feather, there's an arrow, and some crystals and
nice.
Different beads. Yeah,
so there you go. And that actually goes into the next one too, is stones.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people carry stones with them. I keep my stones on top of my desk here. These are the ones, this represents balance for me. This one represents love. It's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually shaped like a little heart.
Yep.
And this one is essentially like I think this one's citrine. Stephanie Smart's going to kick my ass if I forget. I think it's citrine.
Citrine is more yellow.
Yeah, there's like a yellow tinge to it.
Okay. Yeah, that looks like a citrine.
Yeah. This one is like all of my power. And when I say my power, I mean all of the power in the world. I have that same container, Mindy.
That's so funny. Dollar store.
Yeah, so like you got it. Another one is activities. Jumping jacks, clapping, stomping. That kind of releases I want to call it like residual power, right? So you went into a situation, you raised your power, you used it, and the situation's done, but you still have all this power going on. If you do something that feels right to you to kind of release it back, and you can release it enough, like each jumping jack, you like bring it down a level, or each time you clap, you just bring it down a level. It gives you that chance to bring yourself back to your baseline without sinking so freaking low that, you know, you're like, you have whiplash. I feel so like that's another one. Just right. That just it opens you up. It opens up your chest. It gives you the chance to be open and to get to receive. Tony Robbins does that weird like clapping thing that he does. That's him.
Is that the tapping?
No, he does like this thing, like when he claps.
Oh, okay.
If you've ever watched him, he actually butts the palms of his hands together.
Oh.
And tapping is another thing. I'm not really good with tapping. It's nothing that speaks to me. Yeah. I understand that it helps a lot of people. I know a couple people who could help you with tapping if you're interested. So you can always shoot me a message about that. But there are so many different ways, and it's really, I want you to just explore and see for yourself what resonates and what feels good to yourself and your soul and your power spot. Right? So like Mindy, if you're into tapping, I'm not going to tap on my power spot because that's not going to do anything for me. But if you tap on your power spot, you could be a force to reckon with. You know?
Yeah, I just tried tapping a few times. It's not anything that really
and I mean
resonates.
That's the thing, you experimented with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think when we get so caught up in all of our shit every day, and I say shit not as a, you know, a negative derogatory thing, but we just get caught up in everything that we're doing every day. You know, the kids need to go to school, and we got to do this, and we got to do that, and we forget in ourselves that there is something that we need to honor. That's your power source, because that's what gets you to do all of those things. You know, like I said, when we were talking about, you know, you're still having the day job, Mindy, as far as like being at a 7 and being on all the time at work, and then coming home and being at a 3 because you're just fucking exhausted from being at a 7 all the time. You know, honoring that and being like, I'm sorry I made you be at a 7 all the time, Mindy. I'm sorry that I did that. I understand that I need to be down at like a 5 and be comfortable there and understand that I can be at a 7 but come back down to a 5 so I don't have to sink to a 3 kind of deal. But really the only way that you're going to be able to find that balance and find your methods for doing that is to explore it. So everything that I talked about today and everything that you watched in the recording here, it's all suggestions. It's all things that I've done or I've had clients do that have worked for them. But at the end of the day, I always suggest to explore shit on your own, because we are absolutely individuals and we all have our own affinity for things, but we're also interconnected. And if we're not honoring those things, we're not honoring those things in everybody else as well. You know? So like for Mindy, for you and I, for Sarah, it's imperative for us to honor those people that can't honor themselves yet. So we have to do that in every way, shape, and form that we can, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do this workshop. The other part was because I love watching people just so on and so in their space. Like, it lights me. It gets me so excited. Like, I'm just like, yes, fucking do it. Yes. Mindy, and you know that too, because you know when you give me a message and I'm like, oh my God, yes. I love that shit. And I because I have done these things for myself, and because I've honored myself in knowing where my power is and how to get there and what it looks like and what it feels like to me. Obviously, I'm not going to taste molten hot steel, but because I know like what that feels like, and what it sounds like, you know, I've given myself that, and I wanted to give that to you guys as well. So I'm not even going to say hopefully. I know that you're leaving this workshop with some amazing tools to, you know, find your power source, know how to use it, know how to get in your sweet spot, and to basically just be honoring your power self, right? So, do you have any questions at all, Mindy? Because honestly, I'm done.
That's awesome. No, this was very cool. I never did a visualization like that to feel it and see it. So, no, I don't think I have any questions. Obviously, if the other, you know, whoever's watching on replay, if they were here, we'd probably have a lot to, you know, shoot the shit about. But no.
Yeah, like I said, with my workshops, I plan longer workshops so that everybody gets a chance to interact and everybody gets a chance to say what they need to say. So because it was just us, yes, it's only an hour long, but this fucking hour.
No, this is cool. I'm excited, especially going into Monday.
Yeah.
It's going to be really helpful.
I'm curious, and you're going to have to let me know, like, going into Monday and going into your surgery and everything, like, after doing this and kind of, like, calling on that and touching your power spot and, like, just, look, you just took a big, deep breath when I touched my spot up here. You're
did
like,
I?
Yeah, you did.
There you go.
You're going to have to watch the replay of it.
Okay.
You did. I touched it, and you were like,
There you go. I will watch the replay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like how you go into Monday and how you feel about it. And like you had that really big volume does a lot kind of mentality. I'm wondering if now maybe you're like, yeah, I need the volume, but it's not or Valium, sorry. I need the Valium, but it's not as give it to me.
I'll let you know about that.
We'll see.
I've had 14 surgeries, so.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow, what's another one?
Well, I've had multiple battery replacements. I do not have a gallbladder. I do not have my appendix. I do not have my tonsils, nor do I have my adenoids. I had an emergency C-section, and I had a couple of cysts removed. So the only thing I want now is a hysterectomy. Fuckers, they won't do it yet.
Well, you know, uteruses and whatnot.
I don't need it. Donate it to somebody who wants it.
Girl, I feel you. So, for those watching the replay, please make sure that you fill out your worksheets. They're kind of like your guide with me not being here one-on-one with you. But also, when you're drawing out your power source and what that looks like, your power spot, color it. Give it some life. Take some time. You know, use that as a self-care half hour or whatever. Draw out what your power source looks like, color it, give it some love, you know, and hang it up somewhere if you need to.
I'm going to do that.
You know, hang it up wherever you need to hang it up. Get your kids to do it, you know, because that kind of helps them as well. Especially, Mindy, that's something you can use with, you know, your bullying advocacy. With the people that are getting bullied. Share this with them, you know. So I just hope that you guys remember that you are powerful as fuck and there is nothing that's going to stop you. All right, thank you guys so much for watching the replay. I will check you guys later. Bye.